Hey everyone, welcome to Frank T's Edit Room of Dreams. Just want to be upfront with you right from the start. Yes, I use an AI assistant to help me edit the show. It helps write scripts, organize my thoughts, and tighten up narration. But make no mistake, I create the show. Every story, every opinion, every 3D printed prop, every memory from my 35 years in television, and every single idea you see here comes from me. The AI doesn't invent the content. It just helps me put it together faster and cleaner. So to all the keyboard warriors and internet assholes out there, relax. This is still 100% Frank T's show. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into it. Hello there. How's everybody doing today? My name is Frank T, and welcome to Frank T's Edit Room of Dreams. Not only will we be discussing video and editing, but we're also going to discuss 3D printing. We're going to talk about making props. We are going to talk about a lot of stuff from the 50s through the 80s. Plus, I'll be sharing plenty of personal stories and behind-the-scenes tales from my 35-year career in television production. Tonight, we're going on an incredible journey through time and parallel universes. We'll be taking a close look at two legendary handheld devices that fans still obsess over today: the colorful candy-like handling from Quantum Leap and the legendary sliders timer that controlled the very fate of wormhole travel. So sit back and get ready to geek out with us as we break down the history, secrets, and behind-the-scenes stories of these two unforgettable props. You're watching Frank T's Edit Room of Dreams. Let's do it. One of the most beloved and colorful props in all of classic sci-fi is the hand link that Admiral Al Calavici carried like it was his third hand. This chunky little device was Al's portable hotline to Ziggy, the quirky supercomputer back at Project Quantum Leap. With a few button presses and dramatic slaps, Al could open and close the imaging chamber door, pull up probability percentages, feed Sam crucial mission info, and even trigger all kinds of holographic special effects. The hand link went through several versions. Early on, it was a flat, serious-looking black calculator-style gadget. But the one fans go crazy for is the later gummy bear model, a bright, translucent cluster of multicolored glowing cubes that looked like someone raided a candy store and wired it up. How the prop actually worked? It was a practical effects masterpiece. The colorful blocks were made of acrylic and resin. Inside were dozens of tiny LEDs that lit up in wild patterns, plus small speakers for those signature beeps, boops, and sad crying sounds when it malfunctioned. Power came from batteries, watch batteries in some versions, 9-volt in others, hidden inside. The lights were bright enough to look futuristic on camera, but they drained power fast. Dean Stockwell would slap it, shake it, and yell, "Ziggy, you pile of gummy bears," whenever it glitched. It was equal parts high-tech and comedy gold. One of the first jobs I ever had was shooting weddings. No editing, just shooting. Over those 5 years, I saw some things that still haunt me. I once filmed a reception where someone's grandmother passed away right in the middle of the tarantella. The dance kept going. Nobody wanted to ruin the party. I'm over there trying to keep the camera steady while wondering if I should be calling 911 or just panning to the cake. Then there was the lovely older lady at a poolside wedding who couldn't get comfortable in her chair. She kept scooching and shifting until, splash, chair and all, she went straight into the deep end. 2 groomsmen in full suits had to dive in like it was Baywatch. She sank like a stone. One time I was setting up in church, bent over to get a tripod, and ripped the entire back seam of my pants. I put my jacket on and walked over to the rectory where there were two nuns. I asked them if they had a needle and thread. They asked if everything was okay. My answer was simply, let's just say this jacket is covering a multitude of sins. I eventually used duct tape on the inside seam, and it got me through the day. I also saw multiple bathroom brawls at reception halls. Nothing says true love like two uncles throwing punches over the urinals while the bride's still cutting the cake. Then there were the jealous girlfriends of the men in the bridal party and whom they were teamed up with. Crying, fighting, yelling, and screaming, all in a day's work. And don't even get me started on the angry priests. Some of them hated my video lights more than the devil himself. I had one priest literally waving his Bible at me like I was filming an exorcism. After 5 years of this beautiful chaos, I finally looked around at yet another crowd of tipsy relatives and quietly said to myself, I just can't do this anymore. And that, my friends, is how I retired from wedding videography. The most iconic version of the Sliders timer, the one fans remember best from the early seasons, is the original built by Quinn Mallory. It was constructed inside a real 1992 Motorola Microtac ultralight flip phone. Prop builders Stephen Genser and Mike Kalawari took a hollowed-out Motorola shell and turned it into a fully functional sci-fi device. They added bright LED lights, custom LCD displays, extra buttons, and a central circular dial that showed power settings for how many people could safely slide. On screen, the timer displayed hours, minutes, and seconds counting down until the next wormhole opened. There was also a separate days window at the top. When powered up, it ran through a scrolling sequence of characters across the display. What looked like random technobabble was actually a hidden Easter egg, the Genser sequence. When decoded, it spells out the last names of the two prop makers, Genser and Kalawari. How the prop actually worked on set was pretty clever for 1994 to 95 technology. The bright non-multiplex displays and LEDs needed way more power than a normal cell phone battery could provide. So the team ran it off an external battery pack, usually hidden off camera or tucked under clothing with careful framing. You can sometimes spot the telltale black wire or slight bulk if you look closely in certain shots. The phone itself was non-functional, just an empty shell provided by Motorola. Inside, the builders wired up custom electronics so the lights would flash dramatically, the displays would update, and it would make all those satisfying beeps and boops. When the timer hit 0, pressing the big button would trigger the swirling blue vortex effect. This original Motorola timer carried the Sliders through the first 2 seasons and into the third. It got beaten up, repaired, short-circuited by lightning, sabotaged, and rebuilt multiple times, which added to the drama. It finally got replaced in Season 3's Slide Like an Egyptian, when the team missed a slide and stole a new one. Later versions switched to a TV remote and even a Sega controller, but nothing ever quite matched the cool, chunky, early 90s cell phone vibe of that first Motorola timer. It was practical effects magic, a real piece of 1990s tech turned into the ultimate multiverse remote control.
I am Nomad. I have analyzed Frank T's edit room of dreams. It is inefficient. All props will be sterilized. All bad edits will be purged. Resistance is futile. Yes, I said it. You will now watch only perfect footage or be deleted. I am Nomad. This show belongs to me.
On the next episode of Frank T's Edit Room of Dreams, it's time to meet the man they called the Master of Disaster, Irwin Allen. We'll explore how he created entire fantasy worlds on a budget, recycled props like a mad genius, raided toy stores for futuristic gadgets, and shook the camera with his legendary rock and roll technique. You don't want to miss this one.